So, like a lot of things I've been doing recently, this video is probably at least 3 weeks past the time that I should have actually done it, but I'm still doing it because I want to officially recognize the 2017 class for the Wrestling Express Hall of Fame. And yes, this is the first class for the Wrestling Express Hall of Fame, and I just want to explain what prompted me to make a Hall of Fame, and maybe a little bit as to why certain people are in the Hall of Fame. So, what prompted me to make the Hall of Fame is, I was coming up on the 2nd-year anniversary of the site, and I thought, okay, I did a simple video for last year. How can I make this year bigger? A Hall of Fame. So what I chose was to make a Hall of Fame. And I decided that I would induct 7 people. 1 from each era. Or 2 from each era, I'm sorry. 2 from each era, meaning the Golden Era, the Territory Era, and the Modern Era. And somebody who would go in as the owner's choice. I'm going to get to the owner's choice last, but I'm going to go through each and every person that I inducted first. And the first person I want to talk about a little bit is Andre the Giant, because he's the first person I chose to induct into the Hall of Fame. See, around the time that I decided to make a Hall of Fame, I put up a poll on Twitter asking you, the Twitter faithful. So Andre won the poll. And I thought, okay, Andre was a novelty unlike anything else, and does in fact belong in the Hall of Fame. So I was like, okay, fine. Andre will be the first person to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. And then I thought, where do I go from here? Well, I figured I would save the modern people, which some may not agree with both of them being modern, but whatever. I figured I'd save one of the modern people for last, and I did. The last person to get inducted. But what I thought would be best was to move to the Golden Era now. So that meant the second inductee was... Actually, I believe that the second inductee was Lou Thesz. And for those who may be watching this video and don't know who Lou Thesz is, well, you don't know the history of wrestling then, because not just for the area of St. Louis, but for wrestling in general, Lou Thesz was the first major star in professional wrestling. And him, along with Ed Strangler Lewis, Lou Thesz was down in St. Louis, and Ed Lewis was up with Tuzman up in Chicago. They ran the wrestling industry for the early part of the 1900s. And to be fair, Lou Thesz was a part of the business from the early 19-teens or 1900s all the way up to the 1960s. He was one of the founding world champions. He beat Orville Brown. He beat Orville Brown for the world title to become the second ever NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And he was, he was the man. He was the man of the in the early days of the National Wrestling Alliance, and he led the business. He led the business. He took care of the NWA, and he was Ric Flair. He was Ric Flair in the I apologize. Lou Thesz was actually not competing in the 19 teens. He started competing in 1932. So he competed from 1932 and retired in 1990. 60 years, almost, in the business. I believe the actual number is 58 years in the business. Just that time span alone is enough, in my opinion, to get him on the list of a first ballot. To be considered a first ballot. Ric Flair was next. I don't have to make a case for Ric Flair as to why I inducted him into the first class of the Hall of Fame. I know I don't. 16-time world champion. Countless legendary matches with the likes of Sting, Ricky Steamboat, Shawn Michaels. You know, I'm at a loss how many people Ric Flair stole the show. How many times Barry Windham he stole the show with. Lex Luger he got a good match out of. He stole the show in Japan with Tatsumi Fujinami. The list goes on and on and on about the great matches that the Nature Boy has had. Hell, into his 50s or into his 60s even, he stole a show with Mick Foley in TNA. That shows how much of a gamer the Nature Boy is. He's made countless careers. He made Sting. He made Barry Windham. His legacy in this business can only be described of one that fits an icon. Speaking of an icon, Mae Young was the next one. And I know, much like Lou Thesz, most of you may not know what Mae Young did in the wrestling business outside of what she did in the WWE in the Attitude Era. But Mae Young, Mildred Burke, and a whole host of other women paved the way for people like you that you see today. Yes, Mae Young, in her younger days, competed in the ring and helped pave the way for the likes of Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Rosemary in TNA, Allie, Aaliyah, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, Sasha Banks, Bayley, the whole, Trish Stratus, Sunny, Alundra Blaze, Bull Nakano, etc. Mae Young and a whole host of others paved the way for the women of the past, paved the way for the women of today to do what they do in that ring. Because without her, women would not have been anything other than an afterthought. That's why Mae is in the ring. And yes, I do firmly believe that I do assume that if you look her up on YouTube, you may be able to find one of her old matches, presumably against Mildred Burke. Who, by the way, Mildred Burke was an induction into the first class of the Legacy Award. She was a part of the Legacy class last year in the WWE Hall of Fame. So, I figured Mae is actually known, maybe not for her active wrestling career, but I don't want to be too obscure in the first class. So, the next I'm going to talk a little bit about is Hulk Hogan. Now, along the lines of Ric Flair, along the lines of Lou Thesz, along the lines of Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan made an era. Hulk Hogan made an era of professional wrestling. Hulkamania. Hulkamania kick-started a new generation in professional wrestling. From 1984 all the way up till the time he left the WWE in 1994, Hulkamania ran wild in the WWE and helped bring wrestling to heights that nobody thought possible as far as popularity. I mean, just think about it. Yes, the number may be off, but upwards of 80,000 people in 1987 packed into the Pontiac Silverdome and watched WrestleMania 3, watched a legendary match between Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat, watched Hulk Hogan slam Andre the Giant and Andre lose his first match in 15 years. There's no way you could have done that without Hulk. There's no way that Hulkamania would have been as successful without Hulk. Then you move to the NWO in 1996. The most iconic heel turn in the history of professional wrestling. Far none. Far none. 1996 Bash at the Beach, Daytona Beach, Florida, when Hulk Hogan is in the building. Hulk Hogan, go get him, baby. And then you have Bobby Heenan screaming, whose side is he on? Whose side is he on? Masterfully done. Amazingly timed. It was iconic. Yes, eventually Hulk went back to the red and yellow in WCW, but my earliest memory in the professional wrestling, and I've almost been watching it. Actually, I think I've almost been watching it 20 years. This is year 19. Next year would be year 20. My earliest memory is Bash at the Road Wild 1998. August 1998. Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, Diamond Dallas Page, and Jay Leno in the main event, Road Wild 1998. Odd match, odd show, but it's the first memory I actually have of professional wrestling. And then Hulk would come back to the WWE, have one more run, wrestle Icon versus Icon with The Rock. I mean, it's the idea of having a Hall of Fame and not having Hulk Hogan in it. It's ludicrous to me. And that's why Hulk joined Flair, Lou Thesz, Mae Young, and Andre in the Hall of Fame. And, well, good segue to Steve Austin. Now everybody knows how he got his start. Everybody knows his past. Everybody knows what could have been. But, much like Hulk, the Attitude Era would not have been what it was without Steve Austin. And I firmly believe that. So in a way, Steve made an era too. An Attitude Era. And Steve, along with a whole host of extremely talented professionals, made an era iconic. Because you had so much talent in one place. Taker, Rock, Mankind, Hunter, Michaels, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Davey Boy, legends of this business, all in one place, all on the top of their game, and all reaching a certain level at the same time. It just all clicked. And at a certain point, WrestleMania 14, Jim Ross echoed the sentiment that I still believe to this day, that after WrestleMania 14, the Austin era began. Because Austin, from 1998 till the time he retired, or from then until about 2001, he carried the company. Yes, in 1998 and 1999, he carried the company alone. But by 1999, he had The Rock, he had Mankind, he had Hunter, he had Taker, he had Kane. He had a whole host of people to help him carry the company and split the load that, but just think about it. In the Attitude Era, we had Austin and Rock, Austin and Hunter, Austin and Taker, McMahon and Austin. Without Austin, those four legendary feuds, well, 3 legendary feuds, would not have happened. whatsoever, and all the moments and memories that we got from it would not have happened at all, either. So it's fair to say that Steve Austin deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, because much like Hulk Hogan made his own era, so did Steve Austin. And now, the owner's choice. And instead of going over James Beard's legacy and his career and, all that good stuff, I'm just going to tell a story. About 2 years ago, or I think it was 2 years ago, I contacted James about doing a live stream. Now, to his credit, he did not have any idea. He knew what a live stream was. But what I told him was we would use a game, TEW, and he would sit in the booking chair and he would book. He was like, "Oh, okay, we can give it a try." It didn't work. It didn't work. There were, apparently, from what I heard from somebody who was actually there in the lobby listening to the video, the audio was fine. I thought I was having audio troubles, but it was fine. But basically, we started in World Class, and then we switched over to World Championship Wrestling. And it got to the point where I realized he didn't really want to do it. But he said yes. Honestly, I don't know why he said yes. But it's just stuff like that even after me doing something stupid like that and trying to get him on to book and wasting his time, anytime I've contacted him since, he's always been very respectable to me, honorable to me, and always heard me out and went with any idea that I had, no matter how stupid, no matter how ludicrous. I go back to the live stream, and he's just been amazing, and he's a book of knowledge, he is exactly what an old school person is supposed to be. Because you're supposed to sit down and pick his brain and find out what it was like to work with Dick Murdoch, and what it was like to work with the Von Erichs, and what it was like to be there with the Freebirds during that feud, the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs, what it was like to work with Jerry Jarrett, what it was like to work with Jeff in his early days, in Memphis, in Japan, what it was like to work with Inoki, Baba, Tenryu, legends, icons of the area, Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen, the list goes on and on and on. Just having the ability to pick his brain and, just sit there and talk about a profession, a sport that we both have such a passion for, it gives me goosebumps just talking about it, and just thinking about the impact and the opportunity, the humbling experience that James Beard has given me to be able to have somebody with such knowledge and experience in a profession that he's willing to sit down and talk to me anytime I ask. And I am wholeheartedly grateful for that. Wholeheartedly grateful for that. And I could never possibly put into words what James's friendship has meant to me over the last 2 years, especially over the last year, because outside of maybe 2 months, we've worked together on some sort of discussion video every month. And I've loved every minute of it, and I thank him from the bottom of my heart. I thank him for being such a nice guy and so willing to work with me, because I know he doesn't have to. And that's why I chose to induct James Beard into the Hall of Fame. That's why I chose as the owner's choice for the 2017 class of the Hall of Fame. I inducted James Beard because of the impact he's had on me since I started this site, and what he's given me the opportunity to learn, to discuss, to experience and to have a better understanding of is incredible. I am wholeheartedly grateful and humbled by being able to work with a legend like him. And I just want to say this. I thank you all for the continued support of the website, and I still can't believe I've been at this for, at this point, 2.5 years, almost 2.5 years, and I'm still loving every minute of it. And I thank each and every one of you for that. But in closing, before I start crying, Lou Thesz, Andre the Giant, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Mae Young, and James Beard, those names are the 2017 class for the Wrestling Express Hall of Fame, the first class of hopefully many. And if you want to know who's going in next year, well, you're going to have to tune in to find out, because it's one class a year. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this year's class. If you think, who you think would go in your Hall of Fame, if you were to make a Hall of Fame, and have it be who would be your first ballot Hall of Famers in your mind, and how would you structure it? Would you do one from each era? Would you do one from, would you focus on an era? Would you not? Would you do tag teams? Would a tag team get inducted in the first ballot? Let me know down in the comment section below, but if you don't want to leave a comment, you can always leave a like, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. Till next time, thank you. Later.